Here on the wall, is this the rarest 500 two-stroke of them all? Look at this thing. Twin 500cc twin 250 Ossa engines combined together for nothing but big bore two-stroke power. It's like having an RC 500 for the woods. This thing's nasty. What an exciting bike to ride. Like I said, it feels just, I rode RDs 350 since I was 15 years old. It feels like a big bore RZ 350. The sound out of the pipes, it feels like, the first time I took it down the ride, I said, should I go on a trail with this or to the Isle of Man? Because it feels like a road racing engine and the power is smooth. It pulls amazing. We've had Yankee 500s here. Billy is a Yankee 500 guru. I'm going to turn it over to him in a second. He forgot more than I'll ever know about these, but I've ridden a lot of two-stroke 500s. Love this package. I love how smooth it is, the relative lack of vibration. The bike feels like it's built out of the Rock of Gibraltar. The frame doesn't flex at all. The suspension's on point. The clutch and tranny, the carburation on it is just right. It feels like a brand new bike. And I've had other Yankees, but not one setup like this with the big bore carburetors and the porting that was done to it and the work that was done on the crankshaft, which I'll let you explain. But this was a frame-off restoration by none other than Jack Weaver, a local pro racer, motocross, road racer, and trials rider who had a lifelong love affair with motorcycles. He had this one for decades. He did a frame up on it and parked it in his mom's living room where it sat until he finally sold to us. It's a diamond. Look at the finish on the engine. Look at the finish on the paint. There's a little patina because it was painted decades ago, but I wouldn't touch it. These are the original tires with 1,843 miles on it, man. Everything's original on this bike. We did put a new gold chain on it, and Wizard went through it and rebuilt the carburetors, tuned up the carburetors, went through the tank, the fuel system, changed the gear oil. We had the exhaust system off of it down in the detail shop where we completely refinished and repainted the exhaust, changed the gear lube, polished up all the chrome, and just gave it a full major rotisserie detail and a full major tune-up. It really is like a time capsule, brand new motorcycle. That's how good this bike feels. It has some cool period correct accessories like the roll sheet back before GPS existed. And this is another enduro thing where it has a magnifier so you can see your directions in there. 1,843 miles. Man, if I sound a little excited, I am. I'm honored and thrilled to be able to ride this bike. And Billy, why is this one so much better than the last Yankee 500 I rode? Tell us what they did to the crank. Tell us everything you know about this bike.
Sure, to start with, Jack painted it backwards. These bikes started off silver with a yellow, like it's a goldenrod yellow stripe.
Yep.
And Jack, since he changed the motor around, decided he'd change the paint around too. So the motor, like you mentioned, Ken, has a 180 crank, which means originally they were 360 crank. Both pistons fired at the same time. This one, the crank was taken apart and rotated 180 degrees. So now it fires every half revolution of the engine. So a two-stroke fires every revolution. This one fires every half revolution, which gives it that extra sweet power you're talking about.
Turbocharging it.
Yeah, it's like turbocharging it. Really, it is. It has broad power all across the range. The first time I rode this bike was more than 20 years ago. And I rode it on the dry tar and I rolled the throttle on quick and it lit up the back tire, lit it up. I've never had that experience before without using the clutch. You mentioned the tires. These are full bore trademark, Yankee trademark full bore tires that were made by Carlisle back in 1971, probably, when this bike was made, and they're still on the bike. It's amazing that all the work that's gone into this, Jack preserved those tires, and for good reason, because they're a total classic. The frame on this, Ken, was designed by none other than the great Dick Mann.
Wow.
And it was designed to house a BSA desert racer back in the 60s. John Taylor, the brainchild of the Yankee motorcycle, hired Mr. Mann to come to New York State and stay there for a while and redevelop that chassis to house this engine that was his brainchild. He had it made, the crankcases and cylinders made in Spain and brought over here as a prototype, tested, went into production. They only made about 700 of these.
Wow.
Yep. So to see one in this condition running this good is like, wow.
Mind-blowing.
It blows me away that, that this is in this good a condition. It's robust, super well built. The triple clamps were made by Smith & Wesson, the firearms company in Springfield.
They look like CNC machine out of a solid block.
Like billet for sure. The lower fork legs are chrome plated. I've never seen one with chrome plating that's lasted this well in that condition.
Jack's mom's living room was a nice place for it.
Nice dry storage indeed. The stock exhaust is unobtainium for these, and this has the entire stock exhaust system. There's a box
with new gaskets too.
Yeah, with brand new gaskets that we sourced out from Alex Snoop to quiet any exhaust that was getting by the rings. And underneath the skid plate, between the skid plate and the engine, is this flat expansion chamber. Those are impossible to find, and these J&R silencers modified to fit here, and these cast tips are, you cannot find them. They don't exist anywhere. So to have it all in one place is fantastic. Jack did a great job preserving this bike.
The forks are massive for that era.
Yes.
I mean, they look like they're 43 millimeters. Back then, most of them were like, 35 or 38, and there's zero flex. It's just like I said, I felt like the Rock of Gibraltar. Look how big the down tubes are on that frame. So much larger than any, look at the KTM over there, the KTM 360. The frame is literally like a third the size. This thing is so freaking solid. It's just awesome. And Telesco shocks.
Telesco shocks, chrome moly tubing, thin wall, high quality aircraft tubing was used in these frames. Yeah, John Taylor, he spared no expense in building these. It really did. And
was that a factory option, Billy? I think you in an earlier video, in the last one, you mentioned it could be set up either way with the crank firing at the same time, both pistons, or alternating.
I never knew of it as that. The way I knew all the production bikes were, they fired at the same time. The reason they didn't set them up that way, because it was traction. It burned the tires off the bikes because they tried it off-road and it didn't work. And this bike was aimed at the market that Triumph and BSA occupied in the off-road world. And they came just a little too late. Triumph and BSA were kind of at the end of their road in the late 60s as far as off-road. The small bore two-stroke, lightweight two-strokes come around. So the big 500 twin had gone by a little bit by the time this made it to production. So unfortunately, that was their demise.
So the frame was designed by Dick Mann, the triple clams by Smith & Wesson, the whole body, everything was built right here in North America, and they used the Ossa cylinders from Spain, I guess.
Spain.
Are the cases from Spain also?
They are. They were made in Spain. The bikes were put together, and a lot of the machining and fiberglass work was done in Schenectady, New York. That's where they were born and raised.
Not far from here.
No, not far from here.
You've been to the factory, haven't you?
I used to ride for Yankee Motors. They imported Ossa motorcycles. And in my time at a 16-year-old, I had a ride with Ossa, 16, 17, 18 years old. And I got to walk through the production line where this bike was made. And when they closed the factory, it's like the workers put their tools down on the bench, left the parts there, and walked away. And
Wow.
it was like a time capsule. So sadly, their demise came, but the rarity of this bike was just projected into space.
So how many
Fantastic.
decades did this sit after it was restored in Jack's mom's house?
Oh, a couple decades, 20 years at least. Yeah.
It's the first time it's been heated up like that and run for 15 minutes like I just did.
Yeah.
And it was starting to burn the oil off of the pipes. It's been in there for decades, and it needs to get good hot and burn that off with it. That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a common thing. This has a dry clutch, and the bottom end is tight as a tiger on this. And any of that little bit of smoke that was coming out of there was definitely from residual oils left over from just idling around on the bike in its previous life.
Yeah, just unbelievable. It came with a disc brake back then, which was kind of ahead of its time.
Yes.
Akron, Ronnie, show them the logo. The original Akron sticker still on the rim 5 decades later. Just really remarkable. The quality of the handlebars, the Magura levers, the Magura grips. They used all top shelf componentry. Even the chrome on the headlight still looks to be in brand new condition, which is pretty remarkable. The ones I just haven't seen one this nice, and the ones I've never heard one that sounded this good either. When we had the exhaust off of it, check out the bash plate. I always recommend on off-road bikes, take a look at this, man. This big aluminum plate. This was taken off. It's actually bolted to the exhaust, and this was taken off, and this went through our detail shop. This was all sanded down and cleaned up, and it looks brand new, just like the exhaust system does, and the frame and everything else. So I really like the color combo with it's a striking machine, and what blows me away most about it is definitely the exhaust note. As soon as I fired up, I just thought RZ350, big bore RZ350,
Yeah.
and it's sticking in the gear. I didn't know it was a 6-speed. I'm ripping down the road here like 65 miles an hour, and as I always keep shifting up until it doesn't shift up anymore, and I didn't know there's a 6, and I clicked in a 6. I was like, holy shit, a 500cc twin with a 6-speed. I can only imagine if they kept producing these to this day, how badass they would be.
Well, there have been people, in years after this bike, the end of the production, where they've taken and put water-cooled cylinders on these, and they light them right up, and you could have had a road racer out of this bike or anything, really.
That's what I thought when I rode it.
Yeah.
I felt like it was like the power felt like what I would expect a hot RZ to feel like.
Yeah. There were some parts of this bike that's super robust, stainless steel handlebars. They were custom made for Yankee motors. Super robust forks, but the fiberglass and all the finish work is very fragile. And that makes it even more unique that those fenders, which are so fragile, have existed and stayed in one piece all this time. They're absolutely beautiful. I mean, a lovely bike, very well made, and good on-road or off-road. A friend of mine rode one of these in the ISDT. In the Isle of Man. Actually, 3 friends from New England.
Did the off-road race at the Isle of Man?
The Isle of Man, the 1,000-mile, 6-day, grueling, arduous off-road event. They completed that event with these beautiful bikes.
Well, thankfully, this one was tucked away in the living room, and it is basically a time capsule. I haven't seen one that's nice, and nor have I ever heard one that sounded like this. They just don't have that aggressive sound.
Right.
That I would hope they would. But if you have any questions about this bike, give us a call, 860-454-7024. Billy Blight is our resident expert on Yankee. He usually answers the phone. If not him, my son or my daughter, Jordan, will answer the phone. We can ship this bike anywhere in the world for you. It is for sale. It is easily financed through Freedom Road if you want to finance it. And we also take trades if you wanted to trade a bike in. So if you have any questions about it, please don't hesitate. Give us a call.
Couple more things that I wanted to mention. This bike has a dry clutch, really effective, very effective dry clutch to handle all that power, and a cassette racing transmission, so you can remove the tranny all out one side of the engine, change gear ratios for different racing applications. Also, pretty clever. Yankee they were on their game. They took the Ossa foot peg and they nicked it on a punch press so they could fold it up so you get clearance for the kicker to go by. Which if you do it this way, you got a short kick. So they were really thinking ahead and planning to have a long life. Unfortunately, it came to their end. But again, the rarity of this bike is underscored by that.
Very easy to start a first kick for me. The upholstery on the saddle looks brand new. This decades old tool pouch in this thick leather. Looks brand new because it's never been in the rain, it's never been in the mud, it's only been indoors. Jack is a world-class restoration expert, and you know, he just look at this. That's the original tag up on the steering head. Looks brand new. Just a remarkable piece, man. Really is spectacular. Diamond, definitely Kaplan America approved. Also, tell them about the compression release. Did you talk about that yet?
No, I didn't. But you know, like for ease of starting, you know, it would take the edge off a little bit. And it also acts as a Jake brake. So if you're in the woods, not so much with a disc on the rear. In fact, this is the first dirt bike ever with a disc rear brake, believe it or not. But if the brakes failed in any way, you could use this as a brake to stop the machine. So, you know, there's lots of other little nuances about this bike, but I think we've talked about all of the high points of it, really.
Guys, there's only one. It's the only one on the freaking planet with this paint job. It's the only one with this special crank setup. It's the only one that runs this good. I've never seen nothing even close to it in the Yankee arena. It's a diamond, and it's irreplaceable. So bid high and bid off, and hit the like and subscribe. Love you all, and God bless America.